Hey, everybody, welcome back to Pro AV today. To kick off the year, it's been an interesting one already. You're seeing mandates from companies like Disney and Starbucks to have some level of return to office, but still kind of maintaining their largely hybrid format. And that actually introduces a whole lot of challenges, especially for companies who invested quite a bit into technology for collaboration spaces and conference rooms during the pandemic. Who maybe had a shorter term vision. You're seeing a lot of people as they come back need to utilize these huddle spaces, need to use these conference rooms, and the needs become larger. There's more people, there's more conversations happening. I said, look, there's a company out there right now that's doing quite a bit in the space that has a lot more knowledge about larger conference rooms than I do, and that's Nureva. So I wanted to bring on somebody from Nureva, and that is Rob Abbott. Rob, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
You as well. And Rob, just to kind of set the table, I mean, obviously you see announcements like RTO and kind of these modified hybrid work formats. One of the challenges, as I kind of mentioned in the intro, is that more people are now occupying some of these spaces that during the pandemic might not have been designed for that many people. Why are we seeing not only the return to office, but specifically, why are we seeing some of these challenges with the rooms arise, and what are some of the ways that you guys are seeing responses to that?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the first thing that's happening is companies are realizing some of the things that were missing during everyone working from home. Certainly, the collaboration, the creativity, just the things that come from getting everyone together. Some of those things are just really hard to replicate in a distributed session, and so the challenge they have is they have these meeting rooms that weren't necessarily designed for what they're asking them to do, and they have the added challenge of you're really going from 0 to 100. You have days when there's really hardly anyone in the office, and there's days where you're encouraging almost everyone to show up. So it's kind of like this idea of having like a town hall or a conference in your office. So like an offsite, onsite. I heard that somewhere. I thought that really encapsulated the challenge. So this, if you really get down to it, you're asking one single large space to do many things. It has the different use cases and very different kind of attendee levels and collaboration approaches. So it's just a really challenging kind of environment from a technology perspective, just because you need the flexibility to do multiple things, reconfigure spaces, change the tables around, very different use cases as well. So yeah, I just think it's at its heart, it's this idea that is kind of the heart of hybrid, which is things are a bit messy, and it's not just 6 people sitting around a conference room talking into the center of it. This could be a workshop where you want to brainstorm. This could be a town hall where you want to mic one person. You might want to have Q&A sessions. So it's just very, very dynamic and flexible. So I think that's the kind of the core of some of the new challenges and opportunities that are in front of us.
Well, it's interesting too. You're not only seeing these challenges with what I'll call like office collaboration spaces. It's really transcending a number of different industries, right? I'm sure that you've probably read, the release that came out a few months ago about AMC and Zoom partnering together to utilize some of the movie theaters for large-scale collaboration, things like that. We're seeing this idea of large-scale meetings expand even beyond some of these traditional office spaces. And the challenge becomes, how do you actually and practically, whether it's mic everybody and make everybody seen, visible, things like that, it's incredibly difficult to do that. What are some of the ways that you're seeing that maybe integrators, installers, and designers kind of design for some of these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, from an integrator perspective, what I hear from them first is, I think they're excited by the opportunity. It's good for their business. There's some, complexity and challenge in these spaces that I think it's what they really like to get their hands dirty with. But I think the heart of the challenge is we're used to a certain level of simplicity and scalability in the kind of small and medium rooms. I think what the customers are looking for and what the integrators are looking for is like, how do you extend that metaphor up into larger spaces? Because a lot of what they're thinking about is, how do I have this repeatable reference design? And so although these rooms are bigger and they have acoustic challenges, they have layout challenges, just physical challenges, they have more background noise, they have more reverb, they're messier spaces, but how do you take some of the lessons learned from kind of the room cat mentality of smaller spaces and extend that up? So what we're really trying to work with our channel with and our integrators with is, how do you take that reference design mentality, bring it up into larger spaces with the right level of integration that you can bring the best of breed pieces together. You can bring the best audio system with the best camera system with the best control system, but in a way that is, again, scalable. And it's not everything can be customizable. It's just the customers don't really tolerate that anymore. They want a certain cost and simplicity in what they're trying to roll out.
We talk about scalability, and that's when every IT manager and every IT decision maker's ears start to perk up, because you're exactly right. Things like repeatability and scalability are really on the forefront of the minds of a lot of IT decision makers who, frankly, the burden of outfitting a lot of these rooms falls on these days. And, kind of sticking a little bit more on the enterprise office space, what are you seeing demand for from the IT manager and the IT decision maker market right now?
Yeah, so I think first they want something that's easy to install and set up. So they don't want things where you need tuning, tweaking, repeat visits from, I'll call it an audio expert in kind of quotes, but they want the system to be auto configuring, auto adjusting. And again, it goes back to what we talked about before, is because they know that room is going to change. They know that it might not just be a conference room. The table configurations might change. The number of people might change. The use case might change. So they just need a system that is intelligent enough, responsive enough to change without having to have any downtime. So I think that's critical. Increasingly, they're getting asked to do more with fewer people. So these IT staff budgets are holding pretty constant. The number of people actually managing a growing number of rooms is a real challenge. So I think remote management, things that let you peer into the health of a room from a central location, I think it's critical. It used to be nice to have, but I think it's must have going forward. They just don't have enough people, and so it needs to go beyond just, is the system on or off, but is the room healthy? It's a very different problem they have, because there's one thing to say, well, Teams or Zoom will filter out the background noise for the remote participants. What about the person in the room? What is the experience in that room? That is still something where you need a different data set to determine it. And then just lastly, Ben, I think they want the assurance that what is being put in the rooms works really well with their UC&C platform of choice. So we've seen a huge increase in the importance of certifications and room kitting and the validation that you're working really closely with Microsoft, you're working closely with Zoom, and the assurance for the IT manager that comes with that.
Well, Rob, look, it's really easy in principle to say these are all, in an ideal world, we would have everybody be able to be heard and seen and things like that. But you guys are actually making legitimate strides, especially in larger rooms and obviously smaller rooms as well, to make that happen. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things and maybe it's products that you guys are rolling out at Nureva to help actually accommodate some of those and make it scalable.
I guess at the center of what we tried to do is, look at where there's problems in the market that haven't been solved. Looked at places where we can add incremental value. And if you look at huddle rooms, small rooms, there's a lot of ways to get a good experience in that type of room. There isn't, there's an IT manager has a whole host of choices and they'll get a pretty decent experience. And so we really set our mind to bigger spaces where active work happens. And then, the point you made about, of course, we didn't know about COVID at that time, and we didn't, think about, say, a movie theater as a target space, but it actually kind of led us logically to that place. So, what we kind of started with was a different technology. We have a technology called microfoam mist, which uses a very different approach to beamforming. And what it does at its heart is it gives you full room audio coverage. And so we can fill a space up to 35 feet by 55 feet with just two physical integrated mic speaker bars with 16,000, if you want to get technical, virtual microphones filling the whole space. So what we really think about, Ben, is, okay, you have a really large space, 35 by 55 feet. Sometimes you might want to just pick up, the front of room instructor-led session. Sometimes you might want to pick up a subset. But we start with, let's assume the worst case scenario where everyone in that room needs to be heard, even if they're standing at the edges of the room. So we start with full room audio coverage as our kind of our value prop, and then we narrow it down and add functionality on top of that. But at ISE and just recently here, we're really highlighting a new model called the HDL 410, which again is a dual bar system that just connects through power over Ethernet to a Connect module. And with these 2 bars, you can get great consistent audio pickup in a room that big, which is your movie theater. It is your 150 person lecture hall. It is a large training room. And so, yeah, it's quite a scalable model that we think delivers on the problems of simplicity.
Well, Rob, you bring up ISE and trade shows, and it's been interesting the last few years. It feels like everybody's been leaning towards video products like PTZs, webcams, 4K mirrorless cameras, things like that. And now it really feels like there's been a shift back to enterprise audio, right? And I love hearing the great work that you guys are doing, really to focus on the end user, right? The intelligibility, making sure that meeting is not something where people leave confused. Maybe the meeting content is a little bit more confusing, but it's not because people can't be heard. Sticking on the trade show topic, what excites you most about not only at ISE, but at shows like Infocom throughout the rest of this year?
Well, first of all, I'm excited to get out of the house and actually attend some of these things and, talk to real people and kind of dive into some things. But yeah, ISE is a big event for us. We'll be there kind of full on here at the end of January. And we'll go to, I would say we're back to normal in terms of our event schedule. So things like Microsoft Ignite, Zoomtopia, the UCNC shows are important to us, and our IT manager customers are increasingly going to those types of shows. Infocom, EduCause, ISE, these are important. I'd say we're leaning a little bit more towards the smaller regional shows with our channel. We find you get a lot of really good customer interaction at the regional shows as well. And but yeah, we're excited to be back and talking to our customers. And the other thing that what we do at these events, and a big part of actually what my role is working with other companies. And so, we kind of touched on this, but you have a large space like that. It is multiple technologies that need to work well in that space. And so it's really, we really have a responsibility as a group of manufacturers to ensure that our systems work well together. Of course, the UCNC underpinning is there, but you mentioned cameras. We put a lot of focus this year on providing a sound location API, so PTZ cameras can ingest our sound location data from microphone mist and use that to help more intelligently steer their cameras. I think that's just that's table stakes now. If 2 things are in the room together, they need to talk, and they need to talk in a way that is modern through modern APIs that are scalable. Same thing with Extron and others like that in terms of control. And I think we just really want to extend who we're working with in this scalable API driven way. And that you'll see a lot of discussions and lots of announcements from us on how we're working with other companies this year.
Well, Rob, you talk about regional events and you talk about partnerships. I feel like we could have 2 separate episodes about those topics, and we might have you back on the show to talk about that in the future. But hey, in the short term, we appreciate you coming on the show. Best of luck this trade show season.
Thank you very much, Ben, and hope to see you soon.
And thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to watch next time.